What's up, guys? Welcome back to the infamous project. Today should be a quick and easy little DIY. You can see I've got a couple sets of Recaro sitting here behind me. One set is fresh from Malaysia, and a lot of you guys would know, some of you maybe not, that there are numerous resellers, and usually find them through some of the Facebook groups. You see them on Instagram. You see these amazingly stitched Recaro seats up for grabs. However, they're from overseas, and you might be like, is this a scam? Is this real? Is this legit? They're just gonna take my money and screw off. Well, the reality is I've dealt with two different guys from Malaysia. I've dealt with a guy from Germany, and I've actually had pretty good success and no complaints whatsoever. In fact, these seats here that have been all recovered versus, you know, the old someone's garage set that's been sitting around and dirty and dusty and tears and everything else, well, chances are this is going to be the better route. Not to mention you can customize the fabric from leather, or you want Alcantara, the stitching color, so on and so forth. The Malaysia deal is a pretty good deal. Now, Recaro has apparently filed for bankruptcy, and a lot of people will be like, oh, the price of the seats are going to go up. I don't think it's like a worldwide global thing, and chances are someone's going to buy the company. So let's not get too dramatic about the situation. The reality is this. These seats came in like, I want to say like a Suzuki Samurai or whatever it is, something like that they had in East Asia. And these guys are just going around and grabbing seats from the U-Pull or pick and pull or wrecking yards, whatever. And well, labor over there is reasonably cheap. So they have access to a lot of materials. A lot of the fabrics and everything else that we buy are from that side of the pond. So gives them a great little business opportunity. And like I said, I've bought countless sets and I have them. Well, the German set are in my silver notch that's under the cover here. I am just finishing putting a set of the Monza Gray, like those guys there, in the strawberry car, and that's what actually sparked me to do this video. I've got a set of Monza Gray in here, and that's actually from the factory as Dutch would have done it. I've got a set of LX in this car. Then there's another set of Malaysias in the Dutch car here. And you can see all yellow stitching, yellow in the mesh of the headrests, and perforated leather in the center, and solid on the outsides. So that way it can breathe a little bit on those hot, sunny days. But again, guys, really happy with the work that I've gotten done from Malaysia. And the best part is that some of the guys actually have the templates to do the rear seats. So they can actually stitch up rear seat covers and send them with your new Recaro fronts. In fact, there's a matching rear that is in the Calypso car that I've already covered. It's already in the car that matches these front buckets right here. So where am I going with this video? Well, you finally get the seats, you splurge, they arrive, and then you're like, how am I going to fasten these into my car? There used to be Wedge makes these brackets. However, these brackets that are right here, they are not adjustable. So that is a U-bolt on, and wherever the seat ends up, that's it. And then there's people that, you know, fabricate and do some weird custom stuff. And well, I can't knock it because we are about to do custom stuff. Reality is, I don't think that there is a wedge bracket that's adjustable or any other bracket to my knowledge that you can just bolt on to the bottom of a Recaro and bolt into your Foxbody and go. And any of the ones that I've had in the past actually position the seat too high off the floor. And if you're a taller guy or got a longer torso, your head ends up being really close to the roof, and then you got to go for the gangster lane look and feel in order to, right, be comfortable in your nice Recaros. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to show you guys firsthand what I do in order to get some Recaros to bolt successfully into my Foxbody. And I am going to grab this seat here, which is probably hurting the most. Actually, that one's just dirty. This one's got the tears in it. So we'll grab the one with the tears. This is going to be easier and there'll be less likely or less of a chance of me doing any damage because I'm going to be using the welder. So let me get this seat moved and I'm going to show you guys exactly how I get these in my Fox. All right, guys, so here we are. We have a set of factory tracks right here. I need to get them positioned properly, like this. Okay, and what we're gonna do is we are going to get these to work. Now, some guys, and I've actually done this myself in the past, if you drill through the seat frame of the actual base of the Recaro seat and you're really crafty at holding a nut, you can actually bolt these tracks to the bottom of the seat itself. Now, the reason why I don't recommend that and I no longer do that anymore is because the actual mounting positions on the seat are reinforced, and if you get in an accident or something, you're gonna want some sort of rigidity to make sure that, well, the seat doesn't rip off your seat tracks and you go into the steering wheel or anywhere else. So this process, yeah, kind of makes things a little bit stronger. So I'm just gonna put this to the side and I'm going to show you guys some of the flat steel that I have already cut down and drilled. Okay, so this here is, how wide is this? That's a 2-inch, and this is an 1.5 inches. And I use all of the mounting positions in this. So what you want, this is 17 inches long. Okay, so you can get a nice section, however long it is, and you can make multiples of these like I did. So 17 inches long. The distance of the holes is 16 inches from center to center. And then in between these two mounting points is exactly 1 inch. All right, so 17 inches on the flat steel, holes 16 inches apart, and then holes 16 inches apart, but 1 inch apart vertically going down. And those should be able to bolt right into the holes like so. And then your piece on the back, there is only one mounting hole position, so 16 inches, same thing, 17 inches long, 16 inches hole to hole. And we are going to grab our hardware, which is an M6-1 thread count, and you can get that from Home Depot or TSC, Amazon, whatever it might be. And you can get them in these little bags. Sometimes it's hard to find metric stuff down here south of the border. And I don't know what it is, but it seems like the metric bins they're like raped. And for whatever reason, I was giving Home Depot a hard time the other day. I'm like, guys, you need to start checking stock and inventory of your shit. So I've got washers, etc., so that I can make sure that, you know, I have this securely fastened when everything is done. But for the purpose of this exercise, we're just going to use the bolts as they are. And seems like I did a pretty good job with my measuring. Measure twice, cut and drill once, as they say. Boom. Okay. So that is in place. Now the next thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to actually want to move the track. I like to have it like one click from the top position, and that just allows me to kind of guide where I need everything to be. This one, you got to kind of pry on it since everything's not hooked up. Okay, so if you see, kind of one click from the top on both sides. Now, see these parts right here? These move. So these pivot as you pull the lever so that the teeth or the hook can click into the track appropriately. All right, so what you want to do is, well, there's two things. You want to make sure your handle is accessible underneath the bolster, right? And you want to make sure that you can weld the track on both sides or both ends of your flat steel. And I'm going to grab the camera here. I'm going to show you guys exactly where I position this, because I have a system down at this point, so it's pretty actually easy for me to know exactly where I need things to be. But for you guys, what's important to know is that the distance of your holes is 10 inches and 5/8 center to center. And if you can get that, this is going to fit right into the studs at the front perfectly, and you'll be able to get your rear seat bolts in without an issue, okay? So let me get welder dialed in here. And by having it one click, it gives you something to put the ground on for the welder. Gas is on, welder's turning on. So, as mentioned, the pivot points, you want to make sure that they are clear of this flat steel. Otherwise, when you pull the lever, this isn't going to be able to move, okay? So make sure that you have clearance there. Make sure that your handle is within reason under the bolster so that you're able to grab it and adjust things. And the sweet spot that I find is you want just enough space from the rail and the bolts so you can get a socket on there and tighten those down when you're done your welding. Or, you know, you can go to an Allen key or whatever it might be. But the trick I find is leaving about, what is that, 3/4 of an inch of overhang from the back here. And it could be like 1/2 inch to an inch, anywhere in that vicinity. Again, it's all about sort of where that handle lies. But start on one side, get this straight, and then make sure you have your 10 inches and 5/8 in between your center to center of your bolt holes. Tack this up. Now, I'm using a Recaro that needs to be redone. If you've got a fresh one, you want to protect all this, right? Get a welding blankets, do what you got to do to make sure you don't accidentally get a burn hole in the fabric of your beautiful new Recaros that you have just bought. So I'm kind of lucky here. So I have the luxury of having a Recaro that needs to be recovered anyways. But let's go ahead, we'll tack weld this up, kind of front and back on each side, then we can remove it, and then we can finish welding off the seat so that way we really don't worry about possibly getting things too hot and burning into our fabric. All right, guys, there we go. Nothing fancy, just kind of tack welded accordingly. So now what I can do is just double check that our distance is 10 5/8, which that looks beautiful. Go to the back, 10 5/8, we're good there. And all right, make sure that we have all the movement that we need and everything is working the way that it should, and voila. So we'll be removing this, finishing up our welding. You can paint everything black, right, to keep everything from rusting, and then move on and do the second one, and voila, you'll have Recaros bolted in your Fox in no time. So I can guarantee you they're going to look exactly like this. You're going to see they're kind of a little bit on an angle downward like so. So your butt's going to sink right in. It's going to give you lots of height up and down and clearance from your headliner. Unlike some of the other designs where, you know, the bottom of your seat's going to be pretty much up here by the time you do your brackets and your sliders and everything else. So to me, this is like the perfect scenario. Got our handle right here and everything slides back and does everything that it should. Hopefully you enjoyed this little video, tips and tricks here with Tip. And hopefully if you guys decide to splurge and get yourself a set of Recaros, whether you find them on Marketplace or you get a custom set done from Malaysia or overseas or wherever it might be, hopefully this helps you out. And if you're not 100% confident in your welding, well, you've got the measurements, you know the materials and everything else. You can quite easily cut everything, drill everything, and get a buddy to weld everything up for you. And from there, you really shouldn't have any other things to worry about. Like I said, it beats drilling into the frame of the seat housing. Again, I just feel like you don't have the structural integrity down in here as you would with a setup like this when you're done. So thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you here next time on the Infamous Project.